In. Um, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. We're super excited to have these conversations. We're going to give a couple of more minutes for people who register to join in. Um, I know for everyone here, I mean, thank you, Gertrude, for being present. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Joanna, and our guests. So we'll still give a couple of minutes for more people to should join in. But while we're waiting, feel free to share, let people know that we are live. We're going to have a very interesting conversation today. I really was excited about today. So it's really early in the morning where I am. So I finished what I was doing. I was like, yay, I get to dress up and be here. So that's super exciting. So invite your friends. We'll give 2 more minutes and then we'll kick off. And I know that as we go ahead, more people will join us. So invite your friends and we'll start shortly. Okay, awesome. Perfect. So I think we're gonna give it a start. So welcome once again to people who just joined. Super excited to have us here today. We're going to have a very series of very interesting conversations today. What it means to be a 21st, a 30 degrees, oh God, a 360 degrees view of what it means to be a 21st century woman. And I think that this is a topic that is very, very interesting. And because oftentimes people wonder, what does success look like for me? What does success look like currently for me as times evolve and as we keep growing? So we're going to have a very series of conversations from women who have experiences growing, women who have experiences of what it means to succeed and have probably share a very wonderful view and tell us more about their journeys and how everything went. So my name is Chidima Oli, and I'm very happy once again, like I said, to be here today. And I'm gonna run us through how today is going to look like. I'm going to give a little bit of overview about Inspire Africa. Most of the people here already know a little bit about what we do, but just share more insight about that and introduce us to let our panelists introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about their story, and then we'll move over to the panel session proper. There's going to be a time for you to ask your own questions. So if you have any burning question or maybe something you feel like, I think this has been a huge thing, a huge question in my mind, feel free to either raise your hand when the time comes up, or you can feel free to drop your questions in the chat box as we go ahead. And then be a little bit of time for us to network and then, just share more things about what we do as Inspire Africa. So I'll start with a little bit of overview about our mission. What is Inspire Africa? What are we on the mission to achieve? What we want to do is to create a safe community for African women to connect, to learn and grow, and just spend time with each other, encourage themselves to reach our full potential. we have a unique story as African women. We have very unique experiences. So what we want to do is to create that safe haven in quotes where we can all connect with each other, learn from each other, and push and nudge each other to become the best version of ourselves. The bigger picture for us is to be the leading mentorship group for African women looking to advance professionally and to be able to spur African women to pursue their passions, become leaders in their different spaces and professional fields. That's our bigger vision. And every year we see ourselves working towards that. So I thought it would be interesting. So while thinking about this session, I asked myself, what does 360 degrees actually mean? It's one of those things that you go through in math and then you never really give so much thought about it, right? Like 360 degrees. We were taught about it in geometry. And a circle is 360 degrees. So why do we want to get a 360 view of something? And I imagine myself as being someone being at this point in a circle. And it's oftentimes being here, it's oftentimes very difficult to probably see what's happening right here, what's happening right here. So if you're here, you're probably only going to see what's happening here and here. So how do you get a 360 degrees view of what is happening around the circle? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So whether you're here, this little black dot, or you're here, wherever you are, we're hoping that through today's conversation, you're going to get a holistic view of what it means to be a 21st century woman. Because what people or what women in the 20th century went through is quite distinct. Like for one, we have technology and social media, so that changes a lot of things. So wherever you are in the circle, so wherever you are in the circle today, don't worry. We're hoping that at the end of today's session, you probably would have moved around the circle and have a better view of what it means to succeed. Um, I also came across this now. Ikigai is something that I've heard before. Probably not too related to what we're talking about, but it's just kind of seeing how different intersections of the circle like it ends up helping you discover your purpose or what you're living out for. So you could be someone who feels like, you know what, I'm going to focus more on my mental health and spiritual health, but then you're missing out on other aspects of the circle. And then you could be someone who feels like, you know what, my core focus is primarily on my physical health, on what discovering what I love, but then you're missing out on other parts of the circle. So the point is, it's really important to have for us to have a very great view, and have a 360-degree view, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I can't overemphasize on this, okay? So I just wanted to, that's kind of like a little primer of what we're going to do today, and we're super excited. So I think this is the moment where I kind of share a little bit of housekeeping rules just to ensure that we have like a very pleasant time today. So please kindly mute your microphone when you're not speaking, just so that we don't interrupt our panelists. And this meeting is being recorded. We're gonna share that, put it on our various social media platforms when we're done. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. If maybe one of the panelists made a point and you feel like, you know what, right now I need to ask more questions before they switch over to another thing, just kindly just raise up your hand. Feel free to also drop your questions in the chat box. We encourage you to put on your camera because we don't want to get the feeling that we're just talking to each other. So put on your camera. We know it's a Saturday, it's a lazy Saturday for you, for anyone. It's completely fine. Okay, this is a free, no judgmental zone. So put on your cameras, please, and kindly feel free to use the reaction buttons. If there's someone says something, kind of just gives us that feeling of, we're all connected and completely engaged. That way, especially because we're not all physically present. So I know by now most of you are probably tired of hearing me talk. So we're gonna give our panelists the opportunity to introduce themselves. Previously would read a bio, but then I feel like people tell their stories much better. So I'm gonna let our panelists tell us a little bit about themselves and just share their excitement with being here with us today. So I'm going to start with Emma. Emma, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and just why are you here with us today, Emma? So I think I'll hand over to Emma.
Right. Thank you, Chidima. Can I be heard?
100%.
Okay. Great. So I'm Emma Mante. I am from Ghana. I love being here at IIJ because it gives me the opportunity to share, to learn as well. So who is Emma? Emma is a mother of three, an entrepreneur, loves anything business, and this likes the idea of entrepreneurship. I have had several trainings in entrepreneurship. I don't shy away from trainings that, will add knowledge. And I mean, I love learning. And so I like to, be at very important places to gain knowledge as much as I can. I am a certified project manager, and I'm a mentor here with IHA. I also am the founder of the Power Moms Tribe. What the Power Moms Tribe seeks to do is to put together women who have children, and our emphasis it's for women who have children because we feel that the children are the next generation, and so we need to help especially women who have children to have the mindset of having to leave something behind for their children, not just relying on their husbands or men in their lives, but we feel that women are able, very, very capable of putting their hands to work and owning companies and, thinking generationally. And so we seek to provide training, entrepreneurship, mentorship to such women. And yeah, we say that's mothers, but we are also open to women in general. So long as you're business minded and you want to, create something that we can help you build it up and live it as a legacy for your children. So that's why we founded Power Moms Tribe. Yes, I think that'll be it for me today. I'm just here to share my thoughts and to also hear from all you. And thank you very much for this opportunity. I don't take it for granted. Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emma. I think the privilege is actually ours, and what you're doing with Paramount Strike for Africa is absolutely fantastic. I feel like every woman should know what they are capable of and understand that irrespective of barrier, whatever barriers that they're able to establish businesses, as you said, become the better version of themselves. So it's so beautiful to see that you're championing that and you're modeling that, and it's lovely to hear that you like everything entrepreneurship, business, because oftentimes, like, we often limit ourselves to think, oh, I can't do this particular thing. So it's very beautiful to hear from you, and we look forward to hearing more about your experience as we go further. So I'm going to let our other panelists, Lemona Chanda, tell us a little bit about herself, and yeah, just share who you are and why you're here with us today.
Thank you, Chidinma. And thank you, Inspire for Africa, for inviting me here. Very excited and grateful for this opportunity. I basically claim myself as a storyteller of freedom. Because if you ask me who I am or what I do, it becomes very difficult. I'm a lawyer by training. I work in compliance for one of the investment banks in the city. And none of those feed my soul. So I do a bit of advocacy on the side, a bit of, I do try to get involved in policy making and um, try to work with communities that are marginalized and vulnerable. I'm all about amplifying people's voices that are not heard or that are not given an opportunity to be heard. That's what drives me. If that if I can put that in a nutshell. Um, I am the founder of a not-for-profit called Our Cause, which takes a pro-poor, pro-women approach to develop community initiatives, empower very vulnerable women and girls in rural areas. I'm also the co-founder of the Global Activist Network, which is a platform I founded with one of my friends who's, I believe, is here today, Gertrude Asomadu. The purpose of this platform is to amplify the voices of change makers who are doing amazing work, but they come from difficult backgrounds and they're making very difficult sacrifices. And the sole intention was that I have had the opportunity, we both have had the opportunity of going to platforms that are massive. I particularly notice that when we are there, we see the same faces. And a lot of the times, these people become almost like celebrity change makers. Um, but those are not the stories that we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on that little child or that young change maker who's sacrificing their lunch money to do a project in a very rural area where they don't have connectivity. Those are the kind of stories that should be represented in those massive platforms. So yeah, that's what um, drove me to sort of approach my friend and launch this platform. So that's a little bit. And I'm here to learn a few things from you all. That's what really inspires me, motivates me. I always look for ideas. So, yeah, looking forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lemona. That was a very interesting introduction about yourself. I think one of the things that stood out to me is the desire, both from you and Emma, the desire to give voices to people. And that's very important because we all, like, if we're all in a room and one person is talking, a lot of people may not hear that. But when collectively we all kind of, join our hands together and then make voices or sounds, everyone gets to hear that. So it's so beautiful what you're doing with the vulnerable population. It's completely amazing. And to hear you, I love storytelling too. So probably we connect on that. So it's really so fantastic to hear what you're doing and hear what you and Emma are doing. So we're going to go straight to our panel session. So I'm going to stop sharing my right now and then go straight to the questions. So the questions are I'm going to generally throw the questions to, at least to both of you. And at some point, if anyone, like I said, if anyone feels like they have a question addressed to a particular panelist, they can feel free to share. And you both can feel free to, like come in, maybe throw more light to one question or the other. Okay. So I'll start with the first definition, or first question rather. How would you define success as a woman in the 21st century? And this is very important because it seems as if the metrics for success changes. Just like with beauty standards, previously there's a particular beauty standard in quotes that people have, and then it seems to be evolving. And as a young woman, it's kind of gets very confusing. So people define success as this today. You're trying to adapt to that, and it's like, oh, sorry, we've changed. It's something else. So, what would you define success as a 21st century woman? And any of you can give a kickstart on that.
Okay. Okay, I guess I'll just go. So for me, I think that over the years, right, a successful woman, is one that has like a career, has a family, has her spiritual life also intact. And I feel it hasn't really changed. The expectations, the pressure, is still about the same. You're supposed to be educated. Okay, so when you get the opportunity to be educated, society is expecting that after that you get a career, you get a family, all this while also being, paying attention to your spiritual side. I mean, I don't think it's changed. I just have the opinion that we need to allow people to fail forward. So, for instance, you finish school, okay, you're in between jobs, you're just not finding the right job. It doesn't mean that you're a failure in that aspect. You need to continually, push to by all means get your dream come true. You need to by all means search for the right path. And sometimes for me growing up, I think that what I didn't have, I think at the time, obviously, if IHA was there, I could have gotten some mentorship. But mentorship is very, very important as a young lady growing up. And I feel that that helps you to eventually become a successful woman because you get someone who has been in your shoes before to, guide you, to, share an opinion with. And sometimes you have so many burning questions, but you just don't know who to speak to. And that becomes another issue altogether. So for me, yes, I think the narrative hasn't quite changed, but we need to also let the young ones know that it's not a do or die affair for you. If you're not in a particular space right now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get there tomorrow. So, for instance, you need to by all means get your academics in check. You need to by all means get a career. You need to by all means get a family if that's for you. And you need to by all means subscribe to, a religion of a sort. If you're Christian, you need to take your Christian life seriously. If you're a Buddhist, a Muslim, whatever, you just need to make sure that that's because that's honestly helps you be well-rounded. Because sometimes the pressures from life will hit you in a way that mentally you need to fall on something. And if you're just walking about in life, like my mom would say, you're just walking about in life. You need to be able to fall on both physical humans around you to share your issues with, or to speak to your God as well. So for me, I'll just say that who a successful woman is one that has an aim and it's looking forward to getting it no matter what. And obviously getting at it with in the right way. Because if you do not, by all means, your bad deeds will bite you. Life has its own way somehow. So yeah, that would just be my take on that one for now. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Emma. And I love what you said about resilience and, being able to not be afraid of failing forward. So that's very, very important. So I'm gonna let Lemona chip in a little bit about that. So go ahead, please.
Sure. So I'll start by saying that when we refer to the term of successful women, it is actually a male view. We like to box women in certain images and say this is successful. Sometimes that can be a very successful businesswoman. Sometimes that can be someone who's running a family very well and have been the leader of the family for generations. It can vary. Uh, but typically, it has always been something that gave a lot of satisfaction or security or fulfillment, whatever it is, to the male viewer, not to the female. In my view, success as a woman in the 21st century is exactly what you like it to be. If you look at performing arts, in the last 10, 15 years, before 10, 15 years, you couldn't have thought that I might be a woman of color and be represented on television and films and be the main character and still not be very thin. I can be large and still be represented as the main character, as the protagonist, something of that sort. Same, I would say, is the same story in the business world. So I the beauty of existing in the 21st century is that you can define and you can basically cut out your success exactly how you want it to be. And everything that I'm saying now today at this platform can be translated, can be taken on board by someone, like by any person, basically. Even if you are a man who would like to define success, who would like to have something, I think it's very applicable. When I set a vision for myself, I never think that I'm a woman. I never think consciously that I'm a woman of color, or I never think, oh, that position, that role, or where I'm trying to be at is only for a certain community. I never think like that. My mind just doesn't think like that. But I know a lot of young girls, a lot of young boys do think that way. And the moment you start thinking that way, you start creating limitations in your mind. You don't even explore those options, but you don't know what your potential is. You might be more talented than someone who's already there. So that's what I would say. Unfortunately, we do live in a society which is valued through your economic power. You will see if you have more money, if you're making more money, suddenly you are more important. Which is also valued by youth. There's a lot of pressure on people, especially on women, to stay young. And all these are limitations, all these are barriers. But I also strongly believe that you are able to set a goal for yourself, no matter what it is, no matter in which field it is. If you're able to dissociate yourself from these societal limitations, anything is achievable in the 21st century. And if you look at individual case studies, there are many examples like that where women have done it. As it can also be that I have seen, women in the corporate world, they're very successful, but I've chosen to have a family, focus on my personal life, focus on maybe having children, or even looking after my aging parents. That is also a form of success, because you can ignore your entire family, go after all the fame and money that you aimed for, and at the end of your life feel like, what have I done? I've lost the most precious things in my life. So it's how you view success. And you have the power to design your life the way you want. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Lemona. That is absolutely fantastic. Like I was putting down some notes about what you said. And I think one of the things I said that is so beautiful, first of all, a successful woman is someone who is vision oriented. You need to have a vision of where you want to go to, and that no one is going to give you that vision, right? And I love what you said about limitations. Subconsciously, we oftentimes tell ourselves, this is not for me. I don't think I can get it. And most times people get things that they apply for, right? So if you don't put yourself out there, you're probably just going to be limiting yourself. And there are opportunities. Um, Okay, we encourage you to please kindly mute your mic. The opportunities for you that you subconsciously just exclude yourself from. And then one of the things you pointed out was choice. Success looks very differently for different people, right? So, for instance, a woman can decide, you know what, I'm going to take care of my children, I'm going to raise the family. It doesn't necessarily look a certain way for one person or the other. So it's something that we have to be very careful about. I think one of the things, and probably the next question I'm going to ask you guys is, you highlighted about pressure, and I think that thank you very much for the comment, OJ. She said the definition of success is entirely personal in the 21st century. There is no perfect picture of what it looks like, okay? So it varies for very different people. I think one thing, the next question I want to ask is on comparison, right? So you said something about pressure, or so oftentimes people like compare themselves to another person. So for instance, in Africa, I may feel like, oh, I'm a Nigerian girl, for instance, and then look at this other person. I was having a conversation with someone, and then she's like, I don't like coming on LinkedIn. The conversation is as if everyone has everything going on perfectly well for them on LinkedIn. So how do you handle that kind of pressure and comparison and have this sole vision of who you want to be and executing them irrespective of societal pressure? Probably I'll start with you, Lemona.
So the way I handle is that I do compare myself with others, but not in a negative sense. Why do I well, not really compare. I do like to be well informed of what others are doing, because that will give me ideas. If I'm doing something today, if I'm saying something today, you should be making a note of it if it inspires you, or if you like it, or if you think I can do that too. And you should be exploring that. So now, if you do that for 100 people who are very successful, and you have been exercising that, okay, let me try if I can do it, it's bound to take you somewhere over the time, because you are making yourself more disciplined and you are reading ideas, you are becoming very well informed. So what I do is that I focus on the positives of what someone else is doing, what is their project about, how are they handling if they exist in a very complex situation, and not think that, oh, someone has that and I don't. I always focus on my objective or the outcome. I'm a very outcome focused person. So for instance, there have been many instances where I felt I didn't have the support from my surrounding or the financial means to do something that I even could have done better than someone who's successful and is doing it. And I come across those situations quite a lot. But I try not to put that, I try not to get bogged down with that thought. I rather think, let me rethink my ideas. And when I get to do it finally, mine will be even better because I have worked on it, I've polished. So someone might be doing a project in 1 year, but you might be launching in 5 years, but yours might be much more enhanced. So we should always be in the lookout for inspiration. And that's how I see it. And the other thing is, you don't want, if you are interested in a certain field, you don't want to, it's a very competitive world today. And I will not tell you anything to deny that. Every field is, every field has a lot of talents. Everyone's ambitious. Everyone wants to do something. So it's very competitive and you have to be really good. You have to have the right skills to survive. And to do that, you always have to be absolutely ready and you need inspiration. So if you know what you want, that's how you get ideas. That's how you get inspiration. And that's how you work on yourself. That, okay, she's doing it. I'll try it too. I'll give it a try and, let me see how can I improve my idea of what I wanted to do. You might even come across something totally unrelated. You might get a great idea from a scientist who's doing research in one of the medical fields, but still find something from their work that applies in your field. So it's always good to be very well informed because you don't want to fall behind. You want to be up to date. However, not given to the pressure, because all these pressures are manifestations. They're very toxic manifestations, and you don't want to end up in a situation where you feel like everyone has everything except me. That victimhood. You don't want to fall, end up there. You just go in, take what you need, and you work on yourself. You just leave the positivity for you.
That is absolutely beautiful. And before Emma comments, one of the things that I love that you said is rather than, I mean, comparison is almost inevitable, right? There is always that subtle thing of like, oh, this person did this, look at what I'm doing. But rather than take on the negative part, compare to get inspiration. That's one thing that really struck out to me about what you said. And then avoid every sense of victimhood because that is such a thing like, oh, why me? Poor me? Why is this happening to me? I think another thing is partnership. You can see someone who's doing something and then reach out to the person and you guys do it together. So that's absolutely beautiful. So I'll hand over to Emma now to maybe just chip in a couple of things on that question.
Yes, and just a couple of things. So, yes, I would say that you need to know thyself. By all means, know who you are. I mean, if you see that a friend of yours is a successful entrepreneur, are you an entrepreneur? Are you born an entrepreneur? Do you have interest or passion in that field? If you do not have that, then there's no need to be depressed because of this person is doing so well and I'm just a banker. No. If you cannot be somebody, be good in what you are, in the shoes that you are in, be absolutely fabulous in that as well. And when we get that kind of mindset, we will not want to compare ourselves to others, So know thyself by all means. Know why you're here, your purpose, okay? And sometimes it becomes a cliche, but really that's it. If I am born a banker, I can rise to, the World Bank, to IMF, and that would be great success for me. Someone else could be a great entrepreneur and will be fantastic at that. So know yourself, and we need to know ourselves right from from growing up, from very young, what appeals to you, what your passion is, and stick to that path. By all means, get inspiration from others, what they're doing, and see how, oh well, yeah, good. I think that I can, learn or study or read these books and all of that. Be open-minded as well, but just be focused on a path that you know that is you. And with that, I mean, your neighbor could be as successful as you are. There'll be no need for comparison. So that would just be for me. Know thyself.
That's absolutely fantastic. Know yourself. And I think the two things that resonates between what both of you have said is the mind. Everything happens in your mind. So if, for instance, you can't expect, let's say, a cup to function as a spoon. So imagine if you're a drinking cup. I mean, that's a very bad example, but then imagine if you're a drinking cup and then you're comparing yourself with someone that is a spoon. There is no basis for comparison. You're supposed to be your focus should be to be the best cup ever, right? And then the other person's focus should be the best spoon ever. Like I said, bad example, but then I guess I guess you guys get what we're trying to see here. And I think what Emma said is identify your niche, like what resonates more to you, and then thrive to be the best person at it. So that's absolutely beautiful. I think I'll take one question from our general questions, and then maybe we'll start looking at questions from registered participants. As I mentioned earlier, if you have any question, feel free to put it in the chat box. So we've talked about that success is very it varies for different people, primarily subjective. But what are the key indicators? So what are the things that you can look at and say, you know what, I think that I'm on my path to success. What are the indicators? And for instance, I'm currently studying for a PhD. I remember when I started my program, I'd reach out to people and then I'll ask them, what do you think are the indicators of success at the end of my first year? I want to look at, like, at the end of my first year, this is what I want. So people would say, oh, you need to have two papers published at the end of your first year, yada, yada, yada. So for someone who is like, I found my niche, I think I'm working on what I want, what would you say is at the end of the year they are reflecting, or whenever, what are the indicators that I am meeting these targets as a successful 21st century woman? And anyone can give it a shot.
Okay. So I think that for me, the key indicators will be based on the plan that I have. So I want to set up IHA. Okay. So in my first year, or what's the whole plan? What's the big picture? Okay. What do I need to make the big picture come to life? It could be resources, it could be, capital, human, it could be even looking around and seeing what others are doing similar to, what I want to do. And look at what's making them thrive. It could be consistency, perseverance. It could be just, networking. It could be things that you'll not be taught in the classroom, but you're able to pick those things and navigate your way through to success. So if it's networking, at the end of, say, a period, am I able to connect with, say, people that I'll need as mentors or as, even board of directors for my company? It could be simple things that's even just connecting to someone on LinkedIn and sharing your story and what you're doing. And the person could be a great resource to you, So for me, I think that The key components will be based on your plan. And by all means, plan. Because if you fail to plan, then you plan on failing. And so you need to put pen on paper and get inspiration from what others are doing and have a plan for yourself, because you cannot just have something just come up successfully without putting efforts in it, without being consistent in what you're doing. There's a whole program, lined up for this second session of IHA mentorship program, and they're following through. Okay, it's not, they don't come up with excuses. Oh, we said we are going to have this week because of, no. If we're starting at 11, we are starting at 11. If you're going to meet someone to discuss your project, you're going to meet the person. You're not going to make excuses. Sometimes they say that, oh, you're just trying to be hard on yourself, but that's the only way you can also gain, the success that you need. Like a physical, psychedelic kind of lifestyle, as if you're interested in what you're doing, as if you're doing it, as if you're not doing it. That kind of thing will not bring you any success. So we need to be consistent, we need to persevere, and by all means, you need to get inspiration from others, because you're not an island. Whatever you're doing, others might have started before you. So look at what they're doing that makes them appear as success, or you yourself know that this group of people, they're like the bar, or the kind of, I don't know how you say it in Nigeria, but we say that they are the odogus of the of the industry. And so you want to look at that and you say that, okay, I want to also get there. How do I get there? What do these people do? Do they mean what they say? Are they trustworthy? Are they, when they mention their name somewhere, what do people say about them? And you need to take and be conscious of all these things so that you can also get to where they are and even surpass it. So that will just be my take.
Thank you very much. Absolutely fantastic. Planning, identifying people who are there, find out what made them succeed, and then try to use that probably as a metrics for yourself. So, Lemona, I'll give you the mic, our virtual mic.
Sorry, do you mind repeating the question?
Oh yeah, yeah. So the question was, what are the success, like what would you say are the indicators for success that for a 21st century woman, what should they develop? What would they use as a metrics for the success or measuring success?
Okay. So I think you sort of focused on one aspect, or today's session is about that, the 360 view.
Mhm.
If I were to say it, I would have used the word holistic.
Mm,
Holistic. If you go and ask someone what should be I'm in the first year of my PhD, what should be what would success look like after the end of the year? They're setting their expectations on you. You shouldn't be asking that. You should be asking, what have you done or what have you achieved by the end of your year? So if you speak to 5 other people like that, they will give you 5 different stories. And that you then think, okay, what am I aiming for? And not only PhD, but when you say PhD, you're only limiting your existence to your research work. But you
mm,
are an entire human being. You need to be happy and in peace. I look at milestones. I have stopped doing New Year resolutions because that never worked for me. So I look at milestones. Have I reached this milestone? One of the things that I also do is I look at people who inspire me and I look at their journey. Now you might look at someone very successful and think, I want to be like her, but I don't know how to. When you read their journey, when you read their biography, and it doesn't have to be a book or anything, Wikipedia is enough. You will see that sometimes daughter of a billionaire launched this company. Your journey and her journey is not the same. So don't think that yours is going to be as easy. So, you need to take those things into consideration. When you think about, I'm just Sorry to put you on the spotlight, but I'm using this as an example.
Mm.
There are hundreds and thousands of PhDs out there. If you look at from the external view, how many of them would would you say that they're successful? We don't even get to hear from them unless you win a Nobel Prize for your dissertation. People don't talk about them unless your work, your thesis is referenced in other peer-reviewed work, But people complete their PhD every year from every country, from every university. So it's a measure that you should be having, you should be setting for yourself, which satisfies your inner human being and also your professional targets. So look at milestones, look at what are you trying to achieve through the PhD. And don't forget that it's not only the dissertation that you're going to end up with. You need a lot of other skills. What would you do with it? Why did you first enroll in that program? You must have had some form of target. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? In the next 10 years? If you want to be an expert in that field, there's much more you need to be doing. Emma already mentioned networking. That's one of the key things. There's also this wide range of soft skills that we need to develop. And a lot of the times, we don't focus on the soft skills, and there's no one to tell us because these things are not taught in schools. And by the time you realize, you might have wasted a bit of time that you could have potentially worked on yourself. So in a nutshell, I would say that you should look at it from a holistic point of view. If I'm, you know, if I'm living a very, very well balanced life, and it's not only about your professional achievements, it's also about your personal achievements or milestones as well.
That's absolutely beautiful. And what you said about having a holistic view is absolutely fantastic because if one area is not functioning well, the other is, it's just like your whole body, right? The hands are not doing well. You're probably going to feel like I'm not feeling well. And I think one of the things I kind of highlighted from what you were saying is asking yourself a lot of whys, like, why am I doing this? What do I want to achieve? Asking yourself a lot of questions. And in a world that we easily get distracted, so oftentimes sitting down to give yourself 30 minutes uninterrupted silence and asking yourself these questions could probably one of the most mind-boggling thing. I remember in my experience, I felt at a point I had so many things to do. Don't have enough time. And then when I sat down to really audit what I do in 24 hours, I saw a lot of fringe time that I wasn't doing anything with. I realized that I don't think the problem is time, is that I hadn't really prioritized on a lot of things. So, and what you said about milestones, it's funny what you were saying about New Year resolutions. Like, oftentimes the new year is the next week. So we kind of put a lot of pressure. Oh my God, new year. And it's like the last week, the next week after December 31st. That's the new year, right? So it's like, oh yeah, the new year, I'm going to do all these things. So when you set milestones for yourself, it helps you maybe at the end of a quarter, this is what I should have done or whatever. That really helps you. And I love what you said about having a holistic view about life, your spiritual life, your mental health, your financial, every area is tied down to what success looks like. So Gershi said new year, new me. I know. It's so funny because oftentimes it's like at the 31st of December, everyone is like scrambling for what's going to happen the next year, and it's the next day, and then after a week everyone goes back again. So I love that. Thank you very much. So I'll start with a question from a pre-asked question. So someone says here, how do you balance the demands of career, family, and personal life without sacrificing your well-being? I'm a 23 years old and currently navigating the challenges of building an independent lifestyle. Along the way, I often experience moments of breakdown and loss of faith. How can I thrive through this season without falling prey to devourers of destinies, men who appear to offer support but are ultimately distractions to my growth, like so-called sugar daddies who think I need their help during this time? That was I was reading literally. So, what advice do you have to this person if they are here, or maybe they'll watch the recording? Um, yeah, Lemona, you can go first.
I don't believe in those concepts. I don't believe in sugar daddies or sugar mommies. What I believe in is something that's substantial, something that's sustainable will never come to you easily. Things will only stay with you, things that you have worked hard for, and that is yours. Something that comes very easy, you always know there's like something very shady behind it. So I don't believe in those concepts. Now, in terms of the balance, one of the things, and we as women, we realize it when we are much older. You guys are very young, um, but I will still say it. One of the biggest favors that we can do to ourselves is to cut out any toxic relationships. And sometimes family can be toxic if they're not giving you positive energy. They are adding toxicity in your life. Friends can be toxic. I can appear as your friend, but I might be having very like negative thoughts. And every time I meet you, I give you negative energy. So and toxic people have a pattern. It's very good to be aware and observe those patterns and not get involved in any drama, because that it's a waste of time to do that. One of the things that I also do is not think about my day job after I'm done. Especially uh, in certain industries, the expectation you sell your soul. But what am I selling my soul for? Like, what do I get in return? A month's salary. I don't do it because I'm an entire human being. I exist with other human beings. So I'm not going to, you know, make work my life, or it shouldn't be like that. Outside work, even if I'm very busy, I meet with my friends because I need that for my soul, for my mind. I give time to my family. I have hobbies, and those are food for our soul. So my point is, your work shouldn't be the only thing that you're focused on. That's where the balancing comes in. If someone says, I'm not a mother yet, but and Emma would know this better. Um, it's not easy. It overlaps, and you're always like trying to get some time from here and give it to some other, I don't know, work, or you need to look after your parents or your children. There's always that struggle is there, but there is also a way to be mentally sane. And you do it by having like compartmentalizing everything you're doing. You can't be thinking about work when you're looking after your children, or you're cooking, or you're having a nice time with your friends. Or you went for your friend's birthday and you're thinking about, oh, I need to read those 5 articles and write like 2,000 words. Then you don't get to enjoy anything. You're not even enjoying the birthday party, and you know what I mean? You're never out of it. So zone out. Learn to zone out. Learn to cut out people who add unnecessary drama, who don't inspire you. They don't need to be in your life. So stay focused that way.
Thank you so much, Limona. That is absolutely fantastic. Cutting out people. I think I saw a very funny clip on Instagram where like you have two females who are friends, and then one is like projecting their insecurities on the other one. They're like, "Oh, why are you dressed like that?" And they're not dressed so well. So if you have someone in your life that projects their insecurities to you, there is no need for you guys to be friends, to be very frank. And it's completely fine. And what you said about compartmentalizing your life, I think that's a personal, like, it's so personal to me because that's something I'm learning too. I tend to be like, I have to get this thing done. And really realizing that other areas of your life are very, very, very important. One is not more important than the other, right? So I'll let Emma chip in more because it feels like people want, how are you a mother? How are you an entrepreneur? How do you have time for Inspire Africa? You do everything, Emma. Do you have a secret that you don't tell us? So,
I think it's just compartmentalizing my life. I know that this week I need to meet with my mentee. I do that and that's it. I don't think about it anymore. Yeah. So yeah, I think that I wouldn't have much to add to what Lemona said. I just want to start from the divorce of destinies. I know. OJ, yeah, I actually have more than 24 hours. So divorce of destinies, I mean, come in so many forms. Your friends, your family, people that you even just meet at a program, and for some reason you become, what's the word?
yeah.
Conscious that someone could be a part of your destiny. You just fall prey to that person, So I like the fact that you know that these are divorce of your destiny. So what do? You need to cut them off. You need to make sure that you stay consistent in your thoughts that these men are just after me for one simple thing, which I'm not interested in. And nothing should move you to get into that. And trust me, there'll be challenging times. There'll be times that you just be fighting with your mental with your mental state, just trying to tell yourself that no, I'm not going to go this way. And for friends, who do you surround yourself with? And it's not the 10, the 15. Don't think about your future bridesmaids list. You don't need 20 bridesmaids. You actually just need one. So forget about all these many friends. If you have many great friends, you're one of the most luckiest people in the world. But it doesn't happen much. So who do you surround yourself? Who are you vulnerable? Who can you be vulnerable with in your most vulnerable state? Who is around you? And sometimes it's when something has happened and you step back and say, during this time, this person around me could have saved me from taking this action, but she didn't. Just know that that person is a destiny divorce. Okay, no nice words here. Surround yourselves with the right people, and you get to know the right people from tests of life, things that life puts you through, and who is there, to hold your hand. And if you have one person, you have to cherish them, okay? Because the world now is just full of lots of minds that we cannot even, fathom. So, if I was speaking to my 23-year-old self, I would say that Emma, choose the right people around you and be the one to choose. Be in control of who you bring around you. And in the future, okay, when you grow up, when you get into, much bigger responsibilities, you realize that exactly who you bring, who is around you, who, in your most vulnerable states, who can hold your hand, who can say, no, I'm not going to allow you to do this, say this, or act out this way, because tomorrow you will wake up and you regret it. Who are your barriers, to you falling into that gutter? And you should be very conscious in choosing who comes around you. You should be very conscious in knowing what action, and you won't get it all the time. And don't sweat if you don't get it all the time. But just be conscious of it, because honestly, life is not going to be any easier. I wish I could say something better, but it just keeps getting harder, and this song, adults, adulthood is a scam. I'm sure you've heard it. Honestly, it is. Because I remember growing up, I'll go take my mom's wig and all of that and try and be like a grown up. And I wish I could rather now trace back. It's not going to be any better, but in your own life cycle, in your own space, it could be you can live the most fantastic, time of your life here on earth. It all depends on how well grounded and how seriously you take life. And for me, as a mother, as an entrepreneur, I will borrow Lemon as a word, I compartmentalize. So when I have to get into thinking, my thinking mode, I need a certain time to myself that I need to solve, situations in the office. I will need to create that time. If I need to pick up my kids or send them to school by a certain time, I need to do that. And by all means, seek help. Okay, woman, you cannot do it all by yourself. You get it? For me, I'm the last born of five. And so I don't have immediate family I have served my older siblings. I mean, and there's no one to serve me. It's a very sad part of my life, but that's my reality. So I need to go out there and find help. It could be your husband. And please, young ones, when you're choosing a partner, find a partner that can help you. Find a partner that can be of help. Don't just fall for the sweet words and for all the lovey-dovey. No, it's going to get crazy. And you need, a crazy partner to be with you in that crazy time to face life equally and squarely. And so I'll say that by all means, seek help, by all means, know and be in control of your own life, because unfortunately, Chidima or Lemoner or OJ cannot live your life for you. You've got to live it for you by yourself and for yourself. So that's what I have to say.
That is so beautiful, Emma. You know what you said about choosing your friends. I think I saw a quote that says, like, you don't get to choose your family, but you get to choose your friends who eventually turn out to be families, right? So your friends are very, very important. I don't like the general conception people have, oh, women are not true friends to themselves. That's absolutely a lie. I've had very fantastic female friends that have cheered me on, who wanted my own success, even like the first ever scholarship I got was literally by a friend who, even the email I wrote to the school, she drafted the email. So I've had really fantastic friends, and that's something that you can also have. And then what you said about seeking help, it's so I read this book, Joys of Motherhood by Buchi Emecheta, and the picture of an ideal like African woman, for instance, women generally, is someone who is haggard, doing everything on my own. Oh, I make this, I do this on my own. I do no, like there is absolutely nothing wrong with seeking help. So if you're someone who feels like I need to outsource a particular area of my life, it is fine, right? Stress or like being worn out doesn't make you a woman, it makes you a tired woman, if anything, right? So seek help and seek support. So that's absolutely fantastic.
Angry
I think
woman,
I'll ask,
actually.
sorry, what did you say?
An angry woman. Sorry, I had to chip that in. I couldn't help it.
Exactly. An angry, tired woman. I know that's usually not a good one. Okay. So I think I have this question that is probably burning before I go back. Is balance a myth? So people have been talking about balance. We've been talking about balance. And I've had like very different views. People would say, oh, I don't think that there is a balance. There's anything like balance, right? And some people are like, well, you can have a balance. So like, what is this thing? Like, is balance a myth or is it actually a factual thing? Can I have a well-balanced life? And I think that that's a question a lot of people have. So I'll throw it open to any of you can start and yeah, we'll go back to our other questions.
Okay, I'll go first. It is a thing, you know. I I would like to say that my life is balanced. Perhaps not as well balanced as I would like it to be, but there is some form of balance. Um, I'm very mentally disciplined about when I do what and how I sort of plan my days or my weeks or my months is that I always have time for things that are not only work. So I exist in different spheres of my life. That is not to say that you will always have equal amount of time to do everything. And you know your busy periods. We come across times during the year when you know that maybe from an academic point of view, you will be busier. Or other times like Christmas, it's you're busy, but with other things, you know? So it's all about how you are planning it. And if you are not getting any time for you're studying for your exam or something like that for 3 weeks, you're not getting any time. You can't just go for a coffee for 30 minutes during that time and then sort of reward yourself after you have completed that. So you're still balancing in the sense that those 3 weeks were really busy, but now you're doing something to give you some form of relaxation to your mind, and then you focus on something else. The other thing is, um, it's always good to do something that detoxes your mind and your soul. Now, if you're religious, prayer is one of the best forms of meditation. It takes your mind off everything, it gives you a lot of inner strength. If you're not religious, you can meditate. You can explore some kind of sport, you can explore some form of art if you're into music. Those sort of things, the hobbies that we love as a child, we tend to forget as we grow up because we think that it's less important. Why? Because that's not going to generate any income for me. Not economic income, but mental health income, yes. Because it takes your mind, even, like I don't like cooking, but it completely detoxes my mind and I feel refreshed after I have done it. Because when I'm there, I'm focusing on that activity and I'm not thinking about the unnecessary stress from work or any other thing or something very unpleasant that someone told me. So you get to choose what are the activities that you're going to go for that distracts you from the stresses of life. But having that is very important. The activity is not the important factor. What's important is that you have something to to di to distract you, to detox your mind. Choose your distractions that give you pleasure and that allows you to grow. I woke up one day and I thought that I'm going to learn multiple languages. And I learn a word or two here and there, and I am building up my vocabulary. Something like that. It can be anything. It can be anything, but that's how I approach the balance.
That is so beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. So don't look at life from one perspective. Try to do things. And one thing you said, I've never heard of mental health income. So I think I'm going to be checking my mental health income right now. So OJ, you know what to do to boost my mental health income. I'm kidding. So Emma, I'll give you the floor to speak. Maybe shed more light on that.
Right. Yes. I think I just found my coal, we don't like cooking friend. But I find it very fulfilling as well. Also, when I'm done cooking, because and I actually didn't think that this is true until Lamona actually said it. But when I'm cooking, my mind is off everything, but just concentrating on coming out with a good meal, because it's not something that naturally I would want to be in the kitchen 20 no at all. So yeah, I'm not alone in this space. But yeah, finding balance. I guess that's the question, right? Okay. So for me, I would want to put um finding time to be a me time in the middle of all of this. So it's a crazy world out there. There is school, there is career, there is spiritual, there's all sorts of things pulling you. But how about you? You. Find a time to just focus on yourself. It could be just going to a spa to just spend, let's say once a month, you just go to a spa and just, you know, spend the day there, just detoxifying, just having, time of your life. It could be dedicating a certain time in the day to just pray if you're religious, like Lemon said. Just find you in all this crazy things happening around us. Okay. And after finding you, find some an avenue to pour out yourself into someone else. It could be mentorship, It could be just writing, just to share something that somebody else somewhere will just read and the person will even find fulfillment. Okay. So I need to find a balance in all of this. But in the middle, I'll put myself. If I have to do something, I need to make sure that I carry it out and do it. If my kids have to get to school by 8 a.m., I need to make sure that that happens. If that doesn't happen, I need to check why it's not happening, or my children are consistently late for school. I need to check that. If I need to meet up with my team to plan on something, and we need to follow it through. Okay. So it's just being consistent in everything else that you have to do. And I just keep saying consistent because that's the only way you can come out as someone that someone can take you seriously. I don't know how to put it, but just being consistent in what you do, in what you're known for, in your home. Everybody knows that if mom says that we're going to the park on the playground on Saturday, they take you seriously. It's not, yes, by all means, sometimes, life happens, you have to give an excuse here and there, but be consistent for something, be known for something. Know that in my spiritual life, I need to take it seriously. In my me life as Emma, I need to take myself serious. If I need to go to the salon every week just to make sure that I'm looking okay, presentable, mentally, if I don't do it, I'm not okay. Okay. So and this fits into your mental state as well, So finding you is just making sure that mentally you're okay. Because if you're not mentally okay, all else around you will not work. Because you are the pivot, okay, of all that's going to, be happening around you. You are going to be balancing if there's any word like that, you're going to be balancing all these quarters or components of your life. So you need to make sure that know thyself, find time for yourself. And it doesn't have to be selfish as it seems. It just has to be making sure that your mental state is intact. And there are things that will be coming to you and coming at your mental, and you need to be grounded. Otherwise, you really will not find that balance. So I think that finding you, making sure that your mental state is in check, if it means spiritual, if it means making sure that you look good, making sure that, the plan that you have for your life. And I also don't subscribe to New Year resolution because it has never really worked. But if there's something in particular that I want to achieve next year, I need to be conscious and make that happen. It doesn't have to be 3 things, 4 things to be overwhelmed. No, it could just be one single thing. I need to get back to school. I need to take this online course, or I need to get this career path, something. Just follow it through, and life will be happening. But if you are grounded as the individual, then you'll be able to balance it all out. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you so much, Emma. It's so beautiful, what you said. I think one of the things that stood out to me from what you guys said about balance is prioritization, setting boundaries, and just knowing that, okay, this is when I need to do this particular thing. It is just as important as doing another thing. So sleeping is just as important, and getting enough rest is just as important as meeting a particular target. Because when I'm tired, I can do the other thing, and then it keeps overshooting to the next and then to the next day. So that balance and prioritization is very important. I think we'll take one question and then we'll give the floor open for questions from the audience. So one of the a lot of what you guys have said boils around, finding yourself, doing what you love. One cannot take away finances from this. So the question is, how important is financial independence in achieving success? And then what steps can women take to build it? So how can I be financially independent? So for someone who's like, well, I know that I need me time. I know I need to go to the spa, but then I can't afford to go to the spa because I don't have any form of financial independence on myself. So how important is it? And then what are the steps one can take to achieve that? Lemona, you can go first since Emma spoke last.
So financial independence is important for everyone because it's one of those key elements that allows you to do things that you would like to do. And we all have financial restraints. We would all like more money than what we are making. One of the things that I have always done, and from a very young age, and the reason I say about the age factor is because this is not taught at school. And a lot of the times, most families don't teach it, is financial management. So when you have access to a certain amount of fund, what is the most important thing to do here is to divide that fund into different things. So you might think, oh, I have £100. This is not going to get me to a holiday. But it's important to realize that even from that £100, you can put aside something as your long-term savings, have maybe like £5 for coffee. Whatever your priorities are, it's always good to have different baskets. And it's always good to identify what are the most important things. We all need a long-term savings basket. We all need a short-term miscellaneous expense basket because sometimes we get ill. Sometimes we need medication. Sometimes, I don't know, we need grooming products. We also need vacation. So even if it takes you much longer to build up your holiday money, it's good to have one in place where you're regularly putting something, even if the amount is very tiny. Then comes your, very sort of like your tuition, your rent. These are things that will always go on a monthly basis. But even besides these, you should be having those pots or those baskets. Um, so moral of the story is financial independence is very important. You should always save for the priorities in your life. And you all exist in a time where you are under a lot of pressure that maybe like when I was born, I didn't go through like the pressure of social media. I will say it is a pressure. You can think how much time you spend looking at Instagram reels or just browsing on your phone. It's almost like an addiction, but you can use it to generate passive income. There are ways people are doing it. So now it might not be one of the things that you're thinking of doing, but if that's something that you would like to do, that option is there. My point is, it's good to have a source of income always, but not at the cost of jeopardizing your priorities, of course. You can have a part-time job. You can have like a YouTube channel. A lot of people are doing it. Um, any of those things that gives you some form of income that's always coming in, but not overburdening your daily, weekly, monthly schedules. Um, yeah, and in the long run, I think it builds, if you think about building wealth, that's something that the key criteria in becoming financially independent or building wealth is time. So when you are 19, if you put aside £20 per month into an investment strategy, by the time you're nearing your retirement age, you have already made yourself a millionaire because of inflation. So those are some of the things to start exploring, reading about. Don't jump into it, but those are some of the things, that gives you mental security. Then you don't think, oh my God, I'm already working at a job, but I'm not able to save. All those extra stresses go away when you're that disciplined. And Emma said, the key word is persistence. Because you know, the first month, the second month, the third one, it's not only about making money, it's about everything you do. The first 6 months might be the most difficult. From the 7th month, your body and mind gets functioned in a way that you're automatically following that mental discipline. You've already regulated your system in such a way that you are putting in consistency. So that is also very important. Uh, but then I will also say, read about what others are doing, like in terms of, financial strategies and all that, and always have those different priorities sorted. Put aside money for everything.
I mean, Ramona, that is so beautiful. What you said about financial management, it's not taught in school, right? Like, but there are really good podcasts. I remember one time OJ and I were having a conversation, and then she shared this podcast that was really good. Like, you learn practical steps to investments. Like, what does investment look like? Because oftentimes we're told to save, 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 but then you need money to build more money. So, what does that look like for you? And you can start with anything. And I love what you said, it could be 1,000 naira, for instance. It could be 2,000 naira, for instance. Like, don't think that there is an amount that is too little, but there's a mental thing that it also does to you. The moment you keep saving, you realize that this is something that I have to do. So I think I'll hand the mic over to Emma, and then I'll ask anyone before I do that. If you have any question, please just kindly raise your hands. So once Emma is done, we can take like a couple of questions and then wrap everything up. We hope you found this session very insightful. So go ahead, Emma.
Right, thank you. Great submission there, Lamona. So I would like to speak to the young person on this call who wants to be an entrepreneur and has probably finished school and is looking at building that business. My advice to you will be pause, hold on, get into unemployment. Okay? Because in Africa, entrepreneurship is no joke. If you're not coming from a home where it's business bias and there's money to support you to build that dream, it will be dead on arrival. So find that employment, get into a career path where you can get steady income. Whilst in there, you can start, building your business little by little. Because by all means, a woman must have her own money. I cannot stress it enough. There's nothing sweet as having to spend your own cash the way you want to spend it, and it comes by working to get that money. It comes by putting in so much work to gain your own money. And so I would say that if you're in employment, don't quickly jump out because, oh, you got that eureka moment and you just feel this is a brilliant idea and you want to just, no, stay in that employment because you need that money to even fund that business that you want to do. And then there's the financial discipline. Women, we tend to just spend because yes, we like the nice things. And everything about women is expensive. If you want to, look good, it's expensive. But you don't have to break the bank. Learn to shop around for best prices so that you don't give off money to people to enrich themselves. And that's what I always say that prices are not regulated. So you can find one thing, and because we have a lot of Nigerians on the call, I'll just use Naira. You can have one person selling at, 5,000 Naira, another person is selling at 4,200 Naira, another person is selling it, and if you don't shop around, and for me, that's financial discipline. I need to make sure that whatever I'm using my money for, I'm not giving extra change to someone. I can save that extra change, and that extra change will build up into something, substantial for me. And by all means, save, no matter how little it is, because it becomes quite difficult when you get into, say, motherhood and you're saving. It's very difficult because unexpected circumstances just happen. Your child goes to school and the next morning comes with a torn shoe. You cannot say that I'm keeping some money somewhere and I cannot touch it. You will have to touch it. So the time to save is now, where you do not have so much responsibilities. And please do not give off your savings to lazy people. And it could be friends, it could be family. By all means, be generous, but give to those that deserve it. Give to those that are really in need of it. Give to those that you know that this person is not just, taking me for granted, because the person knows that I'm in employment. And so every month I get 200,000 naira. And so I have money. So every month, what are they also doing with themselves? There are a lot of leeches, in this world. Unfortunately, I cannot be too nice with some of my words, because we need to understand that that is what is happening, And so you need to be generous. By all means, be generous, but also be wise with your money, because it is your hard-earned money. Know that this person that I'm giving to tomorrow, if I'm in need, can I go to that person? Is that person going to be of help? Don't also just give to those that you know you can give to. Give to the poor by all means, but don't go out there being overly generous and then be broke and stop. The least people will do is, oh, well, so sorry about your situation. We pray that you find job, and that's it. How you're going to fend for yourself, eat, pay your rent. No one cares about that. So please save, spend wisely, and have an investment. You don't have to be old to have an investment. And choose your investments very, very wisely also, because there are some investments you're better off even spending that money in a restaurant and enjoying yourself. So choose wisely your investment, choose wisely who you lend or give free money to, because there's no free money anywhere. You have to work for it yourself. And so in spending, be wise with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emma. I know our time is fast spent. I'll just ask for just a couple of minutes from us. Thank you so much for being patient so that we can round up. And then, of course, we'll take the question. I love what you said, Limona. You said something about having a passive income. That's very, very important, having something that generates you money. And, what Emma said about, being the person that drives this. I think oftentimes, especially as women, fall into a trap of a lot of things, probably because we're waiting for someone to come and save us, like, oh, I'm just gonna, for instance, marry this really super rich guy, and then I don't have to do any other thing else, and then I live in this whole world. And just figure out your own finances for yourself. There's nothing wrong with being rich and being the one that marries, for instance, another rich guy. Like, you can, it's not a mutually exclusive reality, right? So you can have that too. And then I love what Emma said about people, like, we call it black tax. People who are always like, oh, send me money, give me this, right? You don't have to be an emotional giver in that context, right? Right. No one is really entitled to that. And you shouldn't also be the person who has an entitlement mentality. So we're going to be wrapping up very soon, but I want us to take some questions. So if anyone has any question, please kindly raise your hand. I'm so sorry. I'm just going to ask for an additional 10 minutes of our time at most. So if anyone has any question, please kindly raise your hands, and I'm sure Lemona and Emma would be happy to answer. So give a couple of minutes for questions from the audience. Specifically, I'd encourage our mentees to ask, because this session was primarily designed for you. So if you have any question at all, please raise your hand. If you're shy, you can put your question in the chat box. Okay. Waiting for the raised hands. Are we all shy? Do we have to call out names?
Not a question. We just wanted to say thank you to Lamona and Emma for the very inspiring and also their insightful everything that they've shared with us today. Really appreciate it. And I also want to add that as a young woman, it's really difficult to like navigate adulthood, it's not easy, like whether you're in Africa or you're in a developed country, like wherever you are, you will feel it one way or the other, whether it's personal life, career, relationships, financial management, whatever it is. So I agree with all the points that they made about, having a strong tribe, whether it's friends, support systems, family, and also, kind of being self-aware and also not comparing yourself. The social media age is like it's with us, it will never go away. So it's important to like sort of build some sort of self-confidence and self-esteem as well, so that you don't go online and just be comparing yourself to like 1% of someone's like life, because I mean people share the reels of their happy moments and nobody really shares their down moments. The person could be sharing a happy moment and be broken in real life, and you have no idea of that. So yeah, we just need to like be there for each other as women, especially because we also live in a misogynistic society, and a lot of things are also against us, and women are shamed for either choosing career over marriage or marriage over career, all those kind of things. And knowing yourself, what you want and what you want for your life, what you want your life to be like, and not looking at someone else's like life to use it as a yardstick for yours. Because if you do that, then you're not living your life, you're living other people's lives in you. So yeah, thank you so much, ladies, for all the insights. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Gertrude. You absolutely, so it's been a fantastic session for me, honestly. Like I have my notes here, and it's been so beautiful, like drawing insights from Emma and Lemona. It's been amazing. And I love what you said about like comparison and just realizing that you have to define what you want your life at the end of the day, what it's going to look like. So that's absolutely fantastic. Um, I'll still give a couple of minutes. If no one asks any questions, we'll ask our panelists for their final words for us. And I have really enjoyed this session and it's been amazing. So if anyone has any question, feel free to raise your hands. Okay, thank you very much. So we have a question from Khadija. It's also in the chat box, so I'll just read it out just for people who would catch up much later. Hi, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this session. It has really been interesting and very insightful. My question is, um, how would you suggest one to network? Sorry, I think I'm having issues. How would you suggest one to network if the person is really shy and doesn't know how to speak or speak to people or address a room? Or rather, how would you suggest such person pitch themselves to people? Any of the panelists
I'll
can,
I'll
decide
I'll
to
go
first. Okay,
first
yeah,
because I'm a
sure.
shy person. I don't have stage fright. So if you take me on a stage, I can speak. But when it comes to interpersonal relationships, I'm shy. What I do is I bug people through emails and I prepare myself because sometimes if you're shy, you sort of feel a hesitation of, oh, what am I going to say? But if it's targeted networking, if you're at an event where you know that there are important people and you want something out of that event, and you should be all doing that anyway, you should be focusing on networking, then you have a mental script ready even before you're going to the event. It can be 3 lines. You write it down in a piece of paper, look at it, and have it ready. So you're going to go up to every important person and say the same thing. So it's almost like you're saying something that you have memorized. It takes away a little bit of stress and anxiety, and it helps because if you're really feeling shy, the first thing I do is just create an eye contact and smile. So that already gives me, I'm like one step forward that, okay, I've taken my first step in sort of building a rapport with this person. Then it allows you to go close by. And once you're already there, you say hello, you introduce yourself, and you just give out your memorized script and allow the other person to respond. That initiates a conversation. Once you're able to strike a conversation, things get much easier. It's that first instance of starting the conversation or approaching the person that feels a bit intimidating. Have a script. Before you go, you know what you're going for. You know what you want out of those people. Have that ready and say the same thing to everyone. Ask for their business cards. If you have only introduced yourself, ask for their contact details to have a much solid and valuable conversation offline. Email them. Things that you can't say as a person when you are there, you might be feeling shy. You are able to email and you're able to better explain yourself. So those are some of the strategies. And you know what happens is that, and I'm a living example. Once you get comfortable doing this, then you start pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and then you can do more. Little by little, then you start becoming more comfortable and then more ideas come to you that what works for me. I will make a confession. I have never gone to a room full of very important people, pitched my ideas or introduced myself and came back with a lot of help. It never worked for me. Never. What did work for me is that got a lot of valuable contacts. I added them on LinkedIn or wherever. I emailed them, and out of maybe 20, one person came out as a solid network that can actually help me or that have agreed. But that entire process is necessary. You have to put yourself out there. So put yourself out there in whichever communication style you feel comfortable in. This is what I do. Like, I think what I'm going to go and say, and then take it offline, have a bigger conversation there. And by that time, I already know that person. I'm communicating with that person. So my comfort level has already eased. So that would be my suggestion.
That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much. Use email, use different formats, and attend conferences. Conferences, I see them as opportunities to meet people that you probably would never meet in your entire life, but they're all packed up in one room. So we'll take I don't know, Emma, if you have anything to say about that. Other than that, we'll take final words from you, and then that will be the end of today's session. Thank you very much, everyone who attended, and I'll let you, Emma, go ahead and then we'll wrap up.
Okay, so I think I'll just give just a short comment on this and then I'll wrap up. I would say that be confident physically as well. You don't have to wear the most expensive stuff, but be approachable, neat, clean, smart. It gives you some confidence mentally, where you know that, listen, I'm looking sharp. This shirt, I might have had it for 5 years, but it still looks clean. I'm good. You stand in the mirror and tell yourself that, Emma, I am confident, I am looking smart, and I'm going to this program for A, B, and C. When you enter the place, scan. And if I say scan, I do that as well. I scan the room and see the people that I came for. So I'm going on this path. There's this conference talking about this, and I want to talk to, say, the one in charge of exports in a particular space. I would want to put my absolute concentration on the person's presentation so that I can make a conversation after the person is done. So you don't just, after maybe it's a networking session and you just go talk about something absolutely not relating to what the person spoke about. But people are interested in, oh, you mentioned that this and that and that. I'm interested in knowing more. The person, immediately is interested in talking to you because you listened to the person. Okay, so I wish we had more time to talk about networking, because it's very important as a business person, as even in your career. Okay, so be confident physically, mentally, and know that shyness will not get you anything. There's no reward with shyness. So you need to find ways to beat yourself out of it. And you need to be, conscious of what you want and go get it. In rounding up, I would say that thank you so much for this opportunity. And I hope that I made some sense in my presentations. But yes, know thyself, know what success means for you. By all means, get a good tribe. Let me borrow Gertrude's word. Get your support system must be solid, and there's no problem with trimming it as you go along in life. Because as you grow, your fashion changes, life happens. So you need to know who you need in your next level. And don't feel bad cutting off people that you don't need. Don't feel bad. But yes, I would like to say that be conscious of yourself, be consistent, be emotionally intelligent, and all these you need to work on it. And by all means, take your spiritual life seriously. So that would just be my summary.
Thank you so much, Emma. That was fantastic. Unfortunately, Mojibe, thank you for your questions. We are fast stretched with time. We're not able to take your questions, but feel free to reach out to Emma if you have more questions. If you want to reach out to her on social media and everything. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you so much, Lemona. I don't know if you have any final words for us, but if not, I'll just go. I know, like I said, we're fast stretched with time. Right. Okay. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. And I'll drop one keyword, USP, your unique selling point. And don't tell me you don't have one because every individual is different. So all of you have one USP. Identify your USP, use that. If you are of African heritage, know your heritage very well. Use that as your strength. So that's what I would say. Everything we have discussed and the fact that use your USP, know your USP and use that. Reach out to me if you have any questions, if you want to discuss anything. I won't bite. I'll always come back with a response. And do bug other people who are out there who are successful and who you admire. Get ideas from them. Thank you. I mean, it has been a great session.
Thank you so much, Lemona. Thank you once again, Emma. This has been absolutely fantastic. We've enjoyed having this time with you today. Feel free to reach out to Emma and Lemona. As Lemona said, they don't bite. I can assure you of that. So this is time for us to get feedback from you. What worked? Sorry to put you on the spot, OJ. Please kindly help me put the feedback link on the chat box. Let us know what worked for you, what did not work. We really take these feedbacks to heart, and we always, at every point in time, try to find a way to evaluate ourselves and make these sessions better. So if you enjoy this, feel free to please give us a feedback. It's been a wonderful session. I think everyone has gotten, like, there's literally almost nothing else to recap on this. Lemona summarized in a very beautiful way, identify your unique selling points and then push ahead with it. We're coming to the end of our mentorship program. So for those who are not so conversant with what we do at Inspire Africa, feel free to go to this is our link tree. You can scan, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, on almost all social media platforms. The upcoming events we have is our graduation ceremony. So we had our mentees who have been with us, and I'm sure to them it has been an incredible journey. We've seen some of our mentees implement their projects, absolutely fantastic. So this will be our last virtual mastery session for the year. And the next session we're going to have is going to be our graduation ceremony. So, and we're super excited about that. Other than that, that'll be all for today. And thank you so much. I want to really appreciate our panelists and thank them for sharing from their experience. So we want to hear your thank you, appreciations. You can react, you can put it on the chat box. We've officially come to the end of today's session. And thank you once again, Lemona. Thank you once again, Emma. It's been absolutely fantastic. We should have these conversations all the time. Thank you so much. All right. So think we've come to the end of today's meeting. I think people want to stay more. Wow, Lemona and Emma, you guys have done a lot. People don't want to leave the meeting anymore. Unfortunately, we need to come to an end. So thank you, everyone. All right. Have a wonderful Saturday. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Bye.